Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan. Today we have a really exciting video for you guys. It's a two-parter, but before we explain to you what that is, I'd like to introduce to you guys my good friend, Ben Sweetwood. Not to be confused with British Ben. This is American Ben. I can call you that, right?
Yep, totally good.
So me, British Ben, and American Ben have started a new channel called Generation Films, and basically we're going to take our unique way of looking at Star Wars and apply that to a broader selection of films. And part 2 of today's video will be on that second channel, so please do check it out. We'll link it in the description below. Anyway, Ben, you want to tell our audience what we're going to be doing today?
Sure, so we're going to be taking Star Wars weapons and seeing if they can be legal to use and own in the United States of America.
Right. So Ben is going to be our legal expert because I don't believe in laws or order or anything like that, and I'll be the Star Wars expert. I'll explain to him what each one of these items are. All right, so the first thing we have, Ben, is a lightsaber. It is a utility tool commonly used by handymen. It's good for like cutting and opening things like doors. It can also be used to light up dark areas, caves. So, you know, it's a multifunctional tool. It's like a Swiss Army, not knife, but Swiss Army, you know, thing.
That looks like a weapon.
Can a chainsaw be used as a weapon?
Yes.
Can I buy a chainsaw without any restrictions in a Home Depot?
You can.
All right, so this goes both ways. It can be a tool, or if I'm a bad person, it can become a weapon. But again, I'd argue that it's not the lightsaber's fault, it's the wielder of the lightsaber.
And this seems like a sword to me. So if the blade is longer than 5.5 inches in Texas, you can't bring it out into public, but you can do whatever you want on your own property. If you're in Florida, you can pretty much do whatever you want. The
creator of this, George Lucas, calls this a laser sword. So I want to know, what exactly do laws say about lasers?
Well, lasers in the United States of America are actually legal. Even if they're over 5 milliwatts, they actually can be owned as long as they're not marketed as a pointer.
Legal or not?
My final word is that probably legal.
America, dude. All right, number 2 is going to be Force Persuasion. It's maybe a little hard to explain because you don't understand the concept of the Force, you infidel. It's basically using telepathy and trying to persuade other people to do things. It's generally used for good. You know, it can help people with addictions.
You want to buy some death sticks?
You don't want to sell me death sticks.
I don't want to sell you death sticks.
You want to go home and rethink your life.
I want to go home and rethink my life.
It can resolve conflicts before things get violent. You know, you can say, hey, don't shoot me. You know, that's kind of a nice thing. It's something that de-escalates situations, you know.
This is not really something that we have here on Earth,
okay. So
hard to judge its legality, but if it's hypnosis is generally pretty unregulated in the United States. You do in many states you do need to be registered to perform hypnosis. There's further laws if you're performing hypnosis.
You get it, like you go to the DMV and you get a license or something for it, or?
Well, kind of. You need lots of hours of training, and then you get certified, and then you can do it. But it's very easy. I mean, getting certified in these things is just a matter of paying a fee and going to some classes. But are you using this as a weapon?
Well, I mean, generally it's used for good, but I mean, technically I could persuade someone to rob a bank for me? I mean, what would happen in that situation?
We're actually given, you know, the precedent for the kind of crimes like putting a gun to someone's head and making them rob a bank, which would be a good analogy. You might even be charged for the crime, but the person might be charged too, which would be unfortunate.
Okay, so their lawyer would need to prove that I did this, because
they would.
But here's the thing: if they prove that I did it, then they would get off.
I guess my biggest thing is that if you came to Earth and used force persuasion, I don't think they could stop you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So as far as legality, what are you saying?
Force persuasion is legal.
So the next one's pretty standard. It's a Slugthrower. You have similar things in your world. It's a self-defense tool primarily used by upstanding citizens for hunting or deterring dangerous animals from your property. Fires projectiles, which are powered by chemical reactions, so that's generally what it is.
Yeah, we have people all over the United States of America that own similar weapons.
Okay.
Again, it depends on the state you live in for legality. This
Okay.
would definitely fall under the definition of a firearm.
It's basically a firearm.
It shoots projectiles.
Okay.
So, but it depends. I mean, is this an automatic weapon, first of all?
Well, I mean, look at this guy. I mean, he looks like a Bedouin with a like ancient Enfield rifle with a scope on it. So I think that's probably not a fully automatic weapon.
This is basically like a pretty standard rifle, I would say. So I mean, if you live in Florida or Texas, you're probably going to be able to carry. In California, you know, you might be restricted from using, say, heavier weapons, maybe assault weapons, but it depends. If you've owned the weapon before a certain date in some states, you're allowed to then keep the weapon and possess the weapon. So in California, if you own an assault weapon before 1989, or was purchased before 1989, you're good. If it's after that, no good. So I guess it would depend on when this weapon was purchased.
Okay, so Slugthrowers generally depend state on state. Trying to get older weapons from the original trilogy era, you can basically do whatever you want. You can shoot people in the streets and stuff like that.
Well, the one thing I would say is that if there is laws preventing criminals, fugitives from justice from having firearms no matter what.
Well, you can lure them onto your property in some states, and then that's that.
No, you can't kill them on your property. You can't kill people on your property.
You can kill people on your property.
If it's in self-defense, it's arguable, but you can't just, if you lure them onto the property and kill them, that's still murder. It doesn't even matter what weapon you're using. Yeah.
Just get an older weapon and you'll be fine.
No, there's nothing vague here. It's definitely illegal. You definitely can't kill people.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what you.
Whatever, dude.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so next up we have the speeder bike. They're all-terrain vehicles, generally used on developing planets from our galaxy, cheaper to buy, easier to maintain. Typically, they're better for the environment, better fuel efficiency, and they may occasionally be mounted, you know, with weapons for self-defense.
If the weapons are operational, that could be an issue because if they're registered. The main question here is, can the vehicle be modified to be street legal?
I'm sure you can put a limiter on it so it can't fly. Signal lights, right? And then a windshield wipers, whatever you need.
That said, I mean, it definitely needs to be able to meet the standard of going fast enough to drive on the highway.
Which is?
Right? So it needs to be above 40 miles an hour, I think, to ride on the road.
Okay, so that's good.
Right.
It goes like 1,000 probably.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't actually see well, first of all, you'd be breaking the law at 1,000 miles an hour.
If they can see you or catch you.
But there's so much traffic on the road, you would die.
And what's the final word? Can't
ride it on the street. Perfectly good for your own property.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, next up we got these guys. These are Ewoks. They're small furry animals. They're a bit primitive. They have like a tribal culture, kind of. They're not really like intelligent or anything. They're cute, good for house pets. They can be house trained. They can be taught tricks and all sorts of cool stuff like that. The only problem is they do eat human flesh. They consume that, but we also eat them as well. They're pretty delicious. They're very tender. They taste like rabbit, but less gamey, and they can design giant traps made out of wood and stone, which are kind of dangerous.
All right, first of all, why are you incling them under weapons?
I knew you were going to be an asshole and say that.
Those are sentient beings, they're not weapons.
First of all, whoa. Sentient? I don't know about that. They're more like animals, and that gets to my next point. In the military, you use canines. They can be used to sniff bombs, but you can also send a canine to attack and potentially kill someone. Yeah. So, that is weaponizing an animal, so that animal essentially becomes a weapon.
No, you can weaponize a human by putting guns on them. You weaponize the animal, but it's still a being. Like we have.
But humans,
military dogs.
Humans are sentient. They have ambition. They have intelligence. They think for themselves. Ewoks are driven by their pure desire for human meat. I mean, that's the only thing that drives them. They're completely acting on instinct.
I don't know if they're defined as.
Let me simplify.
Let me simplify.
You're walking in the woods. I'm in the trees.
Okay.
I have an Ewok in each arm. I throw it on you and it kills you. Weapon.
These things dress themselves.
How do you know that? Maybe I dressed them.
Did you dress them?
I dressed them.
That's weird.
All right. So legal or not?
It's legal to own them, but not legal to use them as a weapon. If you sick your dog on somebody, they're gonna put your dog down. If you sick the Ewok on somebody, they're gonna put the Ewok down. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that very intellectually stimulating thought. exercise.
Yeah, and guys, if you want to check out part 2, we'll be talking about like blasters, like X-Wings, Force Lightning, all sorts of cool stuff. Click on the link right here if you want to check that out.
And don't forget to subscribe to our amazing new channel where we'll be uploading all sorts of content. We'll be specifically focusing in on movies and everything about them, looking at the best and the worst in the film industry.
Yeah, okay. It should be exciting. We're all going to be in this, American Ben, British Ben, and me. So the whole family will be here. Well, thanks for joining us today, guys. If you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.